Ever wondered why your gas prices fluctuate so much? Well, it has a lot to do with what's happening thousands of miles away. In the world of oil, the tiniest ripple can create monumental waves. Recently, Saudi Arabia and Russia, two of the world's biggest oil producers, made a decision that's making waves around the globe. They've decided to slash oil production, a move that's shaking up the delicate balance of the international oil market. But let's take a step back and understand the bigger picture here. Saudi Arabia and Russia are key members of an organization you've probably heard of, OPEC. Standing for the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC has a significant role in the global oil market. It's a group of oil-exporting countries that work together to coordinate oil production policies, essentially controlling how much oil is available on the world market. Now, when OPEC decides to cut production, it means there will be less oil available. With less supply, oil prices can increase, affecting everything from gas prices at your local station to the cost of heating your home. But this story has a new twist. As part of their strategy, OPEC is bringing a new player into this high-stakes game, Brazil. An emerging oil supplier, Brazil is being welcomed into the fold of OPEC+. This expanded organization, known as OPEC+, includes OPEC's 13 member countries and 10 additional oil-producing nations. By bringing Brazil into the mix, OPEC+ is aiming to further consolidate its control over the global oil supply. This move is a clear signal to the world that OPEC+ means business, and they're prepared to use their combined power to influence the global oil market in ways we've never seen before. So this strategic play isn't just a simple adjustment of numbers, it's a bold move that could potentially turn the tables in the world of oil. This is the start of a new chapter in global economics, and we're all eager to see how it unfolds. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the implications of this seismic shift. We'll explore how this decision might impact OPEC+ countries, consumers, and even countries like Germany that are currently crafting economic rescue plans. Now you might be thinking, isn't less production a bad thing for oil-rich countries? Well, it's a bit complicated. Let's take a look at the OPEC+ countries. These nations are like the oil barons of the world, and a significant chunk of their economies is propped up by oil income. But with the recent decision to slash oil production, things are about to get interesting. You see, the idea behind reducing production is to give a shot in the arm to the flagging crude prices. The law of supply and demand tells us that when supply is limited, prices can climb. But here's where it gets tricky. Despite fears that the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict would disrupt oil flows and thus drive up prices, the crude market has remained stubbornly sluggish. Now imagine being an OPEC+ country in this scenario. You're sitting on a treasure trove of oil, but the prices just won't budge. It's like being a dragon guarding a hoard of gold that no one wants to buy. Frustrating, isn't it? But there's more to it. By cutting production, these countries are essentially playing a high-stakes game of poker. They're betting that by tightening the oil tap, they can force prices to rise. And if they succeed, the rewards could be significant. Higher oil prices mean more income, which could boost their economies. However, it's not all smooth sailing. There's a risk that these countries could overshoot, causing prices to skyrocket and potentially trigger a global economic crisis. Remember the oil shocks of the 70s? Yeah, nobody wants a repeat of that. In addition, there's the question of whether these countries can maintain their unity. After all, it's one thing to agree on cutting production, but quite another to stick to it when the stakes are so high. Will they hold the line, or will some countries break ranks and ramp up production to grab a larger slice of the pie? So, it's a tricky situation for these oil nations, a balancing act between boosting their economies and controlling the global oil market. It's like walking a tightrope, and the whole world is watching to see if they can keep their balance. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a silver lining for consumers, at least for now. In the thick of these strategic maneuvers and geopolitical chess games, there's a somewhat unexpected beneficiary, the average consumer. Thanks to sluggish oil prices, those of us who drive have been enjoying lower gas prices at the pump. This is particularly true in the United States, where consumers have been basking in the glow of cheaper fill-ups. Now imagine this. You pull up to the gas station, expecting the usual wince as you see the total tick upwards with every gallon. But instead, you find yourself pleasantly surprised. The numbers aren't climbing as high as they used to. You might even crack a smile as you realize you're saving a few bucks. That's been the reality for many consumers in recent months. However, as the old saying goes, all good things must come to an end, and this consumer relief might be short-lived. The OPEC plus countries led by Saudi Arabia and Russia are planning voluntary cuts of more than 2 million barrels per day for the first 3 months of the next year. Their aim? To prop up those very oil prices that have been giving consumers a break. It's a classic case of supply and demand. By reducing the supply, they hope to drive up the demand, and hence the price. So, while we're currently riding the wave of lower gas prices, the tide may soon turn. That silver lining might start to lose its shine as these planned production cuts take effect. And once again we could find ourselves watching those numbers at the gas pump with a familiar sense of dread. The real question here is, how will this tug-of-war between oil-producing giants and consumer markets play out? Will the consumer's gain be short-lived, or will the oil market dynamics shift in a way that keeps those prices in check? Only time will tell. For now though, let's just enjoy the ride while it lasts. After all, it's not every day you get to fill up your tank without emptying your wallet. Meanwhile, Germany is watching these developments with bated breath, and for a good reason. Germany's economy, like many others, is heavily reliant on oil. From its bustling manufacturing sector to its efficient transportation systems, oil is a vital cog in the German economic machine. Therefore, any significant shift in the global oil market, such as the recent production cuts by OPEC+, could have profound implications for Germany's economy. The German government is well aware of this, and the looming threat of an oil scarcity has prompted them to spring into action. They are currently in the process of crafting an economic rescue plan designed to shield the country from the potential fallout of these oil production cuts. This rescue plan is not just a knee-jerk reaction to the current oil crisis. It's a well-thought-out strategy aiming to mitigate the impact of fluctuating oil prices on the German economy. The plan includes measures to diversify the energy mix, investing heavily in renewable energy sources such as wind and solar power. This not only reduces Germany's dependence on oil, but also aligns with the country's commitment to combating climate change. However, it's not just Germany's economy that's at stake here. As the largest economy in the European Union, Germany's economic health has a ripple effect on the rest of the EU. A stable German economy means a stable EU, and vice versa. Therefore, Germany's economic rescue plan could have far-reaching implications for the entire European Union. Yet this plan is not a magic bullet. It's a complex, multifaceted strategy that will require careful implementation and a fair bit of luck to succeed. But it's a necessary step in the right direction, given the current economic climate. With the global economy on a tightrope, these oil market maneuvers could make or break economies, including Germany's. Whether Germany's economic rescue plan will be enough to weather the storm remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: in these uncertain times, bold and innovative strategies like this are more important than ever. So, what does all this mean for us in the future of energy? As we've seen, the decisions made in oil markets don't just affect the price we pay at the pump, they reverberate through the corridors of power, influencing the dynamics of geopolitical alliances. These alliances in turn can either solidify or undermine global stability. For instance, Saudi Arabia and Russia's decision to extend supply cuts has nudged Brazil closer to the OPEC+ fold. This alliance could shift the balance of power in the global oil markets and beyond. Meanwhile, the future of renewable energy looms large in these conversations. As fossil fuel reserves dwindle and climate change accelerates, the world is increasingly looking towards renewable energy sources. Decisions made in the oil markets today could either impede or expedite this transition. For instance, if oil prices remain high, it could spur investment in renewable energy technologies that are currently more expensive than fossil fuels. On the other hand, if oil prices plummet, it could deter such investments. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet or barrels of oil. It's about people's lives. It's about the kind of world we want to leave for our children and grandchildren. It's about how we balance our need for energy with our responsibility to protect the planet. So, as we've seen, the stakes in these oil market decisions are incredibly high. They will shape not just the economic landscape of tomorrow, but the very world we live in. Now, isn't that food for thought? This is where you come in. What are your thoughts on this complex issue? Do you think these oil production cuts will achieve their intended effect? Or is it time to shift our focus towards a more sustainable approach to energy? We'd love to hear your thoughts. One thing is for sure, the decisions made today in the oil market will shape the economic landscape of tomorrow.